All right, let's get right into this because it's a wild one. This is the incredible story of how a single, misspelled word on an anonymous note became the key to unlocking a billionaire's darkest, most violent secrets. I mean, that's really what this whole story boils down to, isn't it? It's about a bond of loyalty so deep it ultimately leads to betrayal and a brutal execution-style murder. So, to really understand the crime, you have to start with the friendship. A bond between two people so intertwined that it would, in the end, prove fatal for one of them. So on one side, you've got Susan Berman. She's a sharp journalist, an author, and get this, the daughter of a notorious Las Vegas mobster. So she knew a thing or two about secrets. On the other side, Robert Durst, the weird, reclusive heir to a New York real estate empire. They were such an unlikely pair, but they were incredibly close. Closer than family, some would say. And that friendship, wow, it was really put to the test back in 1982. That's when Durst's wife, Kathleen, just disappeared, vanished without a trace. And who jumped to his defense? Susan. She became his unofficial spokesman, his public shield, handling all the press for him. Her loyalty was absolute. Well, years later, that fierce loyalty would be repaid with a bullet. On Christmas Eve of 2000, a truly chilling discovery was made, and along with it, one of the strangest clues in the history of crime. So after her neighbors noticed her dogs were running loose, police went into Susan Berman's home, and what they found was just brutal. She was dead, shot once in the back of the head. It was a professional, calculated hit. But what's really telling is what the police didn't find. There was no sign of a struggle, no forced entry, and nothing of value was taken. The only logical conclusion? Susan knew her murderer. She opened the door and let them right in. The crime scene itself, it didn't give them much to go on. But here's the thing, before her body was even discovered, the killer sent a message, a clue they thought would lead police to the body, but it would ultimately lead right back to them. This is it. This is what was inside an anonymous letter sent to the Beverly Hills police. Just Susan's address and this one haunting word written in all caps block letters, cadaver. But on the envelope, the killer made a tiny, almost unnoticeable mistake. An extra E in Beverly, Beverley. A single misspelling that would sit in an evidence locker for years. Just a silent witness waiting for its moment to speak. So why was Susan killed? At first, police thought maybe it was a mob hit, because of her father's past. But the real motive? It was buried almost 2 decades earlier, in the cold case of Robert Durst's missing wife. And you have to look at the timing here, because it is absolutely crucial. Just a few weeks before Susan was murdered, investigators back in New York had reopened the cold case into Kathleen Durst's disappearance. And who was at the very top of their list to interview? Susan Berman. That is no coincidence. See, authorities had this theory. They thought Susan had done more than just defend Durst in the press. They suspected she actively helped him cover up his wife's murder, maybe by making a phone call to create a fake alibi. So with the investigation heating up again, Robert Durst couldn't take the chance that his loyal but, let's face it, unpredictable friend would finally crack and talk. For years, the case just went cold. Durst was a free man, living his life seemingly untouchable. And then, a documentary crew decided to tell his story. And in doing so, they accidentally stumbled on the one piece of evidence that would blow the whole case wide open. 15 years. For 15 long years, there was no justice for Susan Berman. But then, in 2015, the HBO documentary series The Jinx started digging into Robert Durst's bizarre life, and they uncovered something incredible. A letter he had written years ago. And this was the moment everything changed. This was the smoking gun. On the left, you see the anonymous cadaver note sent to the police. On the right, a personal letter Durst sent to Susan just a year before she was killed. The block lettering, it's identical. And there it is. You can't miss it. The exact same peculiar misspelling of Beverly Hills. So when the filmmakers showed him both of these, side by side, on camera, you can just see it. He's totally shaken. He stares at them, he blinks, and then he admits he can't even tell the handwriting part. For the very first time, he was caught, red-handed. Now you'd think that would be damning enough, right? The end of the story? But what happened next, after the interview was supposedly over, would become one of the most shocking, unbelievable moments in television history. A confession nobody was ever supposed to hear. After that tense interview, Durst excused himself. He went into the bathroom, probably to collect his thoughts, not realizing his microphone was still live. It was still recording every single word as he muttered to himself, thinking he was completely alone. And that's when the microphone picked up this quiet, haunting monologue. It ended with the most chilling confession you could imagine. What the hell did I do? Killed them all, of course. Well, the fallout was immediate. Durst was arrested literally hours before that final episode aired. In 2021, fueled by that handwriting evidence and his own shocking confession, a jury finally convicted him of murdering his best friend. He died in prison just a few months later, closing a dark chapter that had spanned decades. It just leaves you with this one astounding thought. In a world of DNA and complex forensics, this billionaire murderer was ultimately brought down by something so simple: a lifelong habit of misspelling Beverly and a confession he whispered to himself in a bathroom. Absolutely